Hey man, you're listening to Remain in the Race. This is episode 40. It's the beginning of a new year. We got a lot of good things coming down the line this year. And as always, across the table from me, the man, the myth, the legend, Mitchell Reynolds. How you doing today, Mitch?
What is up, Super D? I'm doing good. Excited for season 3 of this thing with a new intro. And I'm really excited for this series that we've got lined up here to kick off the new year. I think it's going to be cool for our ATV racing enthusiasts, as well as people who maybe have no idea what racing is, to really get an idea of what this community is all about. So we're going to have some really special guests to get this going and just kind of show the behind the scenes of what all is comprised, if I can. I was going to say compromised. Hope it's not compromised.
No. I understand what you're saying. So I just came off got to host again the Midwest 2023 banquet. And I was telling you before we hit record here, one of the things that was so cool that you always interview, the top placing people in each class, hey, who do you want to thank? And over, it was so cool to hear each of these riders from all different skill levels, all different classes say, man, want to give a big shout out to the community. This one time I broke down and someone from another class loaned me a machine or loaned me a tire or a wheel or a spark, whatever it is. And it was cool to hear that that's kind of the vibe that was throughout the room on Saturday night. And here we're going to start off the new year talking about, the race community and different things. So we've got some really, really, really cool guests lined up. And our one today is someone that probably not many people know,
that's right,
but is really a big part of the Midwest series for sure.
Absolutely, and really big in the motorsports, in motorsports world as in general. So we'll get into that in a little bit as we get to talk to him and get to know about him. But Super D, let's go through a little bit of what we're going to be doing behind this an ATV Racing Life series. Yeah. So we're going to be going on a journey to explain the ins and outs of what makes up the community of ATV racing. We'll be joined by individuals that participate in the sport, that promote the sport, and the events that take place. And we'll also be talking to guys like we're going to talk to today that have companies that have been established to produce products and services specifically for the racing community. So this is part of their livelihood, or actually is their livelihood, to produce things for the ATV racing community. And we're going to go through and we're going to answer questions with these individuals of what is ATV racing? How did they get involved in the ATV racing community? What their motivation is behind being part of this community, and giving us a snapshot, giving us as Remain in the Race guys and also as a community of racers a snapshot of what those individuals week in and week out look like. Not everyone knows what it's like to be a racer. Not everybody knows what it's like to be a promoter of the sport or a series organizer. Not everyone knows what it's like to be a manufacturer of parts. But these are these people's livelihood. It's what they breathe. It's what they live. And we want to be able to showcase that here on Remain in the Race. Yeah. And as always, we want to get back to the family part of it. God created us to be community, right? To have community with Him. Jesus said, I came to build my church, to build His followers. And we're not saying the racing community is necessarily just a community of followers of Christ, but we think that it closely parallels what it looks like to be on that spiritual journey and be a part of Christ's church, because so many of the things that are emulated within our sport, how people look after each other and take care of each other, really emulates the Christian walk. So we want those to parallel. And, people that are part of that both communities, obviously you and I are, we want to be interweave with those people because we both love both things. People who don't know about that, we want them to join both communities that we're in as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's one of the cool things of, we want to partner with people. Like we want to showcase, these different companies, and specifically the one today we're going to be talking to. We want to help build their company, but also as a podcast, as a, I don't know, whatever this is.
This is a podcast, man. This is a setup.
This is a setup.
I love it.
Yeah, and we want to partner with people that kind of hold to the same values and the same beliefs, that are invested in the sport, making it happen. And so we've to kind of help go along with that. Not only do we have got some sponsors coming back from last year, but we've actually added on a few new ones too.
It's exciting. I'm excited to start revealing those sponsors to people.
Yeah.
And I say sponsors, like hopefully we're partnering right alongside them.
Absolutely.
We're helping them to push their brand and emulate what they want as their brand. And that just goes right along with what we are here at Remain in the Race, and that's committed to the sport, committed to Christ. We want to do all those things. But I'm looking forward to this interview here with Toby from Renegade Race Fuels. So I won't make the listeners wait any longer to find out who it is that we will be talking with, so they can look forward to that. And then at the end, we'll kind of highlight a little bit of your time there at the banquet and some series coming up and
schedule release.
Schedule release. So we've got all the schedule so we can put our plans together, put our time off in of what races we're going to.
Right. Builders Brawl's looking good for
2024. 2024. Yeah. Season 2 of the Builders Brawl.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed our new backdrop up there.
Yeah,
the Bullet Machine. I thought, hey, let's give the Bullet Machine some love.
Yeah.
And that's what we should do going forward. The people that are willing to participate in this, let's give them a little exposure as we try to do in episodes. But if we can do it on social media as well, we will.
Yep. So I've noticed a lot of people, of course, we get notifications when people look at that stuff or like it, and it's been blowing up. So that's good. So thank you to all of you that, follow us on social media and keep up with that. That's a good way for us to it kind of helps us know, like, oh, hey, people are interacting with us. So
absolutely,
it's a lot of fun.
It's easy, like when you get on a podcast, to find a new podcast, find an episode or something and hit play, but then you don't necessarily follow that show, so you don't get their new content and stuff. But you can hit those 3 dots right up there in the top right, Apple specifically, and you can follow, or you can scroll down and subscribe, or give us a review. That's the word I was looking for. Said subscribe. But that enables us to know the things that you're enjoying and the content that you want, because that's ultimately what you and I want to do. We're loving the ride, but we want to know where people are wanting this thing to go.
That's right.
And we want to direct it that way.
Well, tell you what, Mitch, let's catch a little break right here real quick, and then we'll bring on Toby from Renegade Fuels. All right? So y'all stay with us.
So I'm joined with Toby from Renegade Race Fuel. How are you, Toby?
Doing well. How are you all?
Oh, we're doing good, man. Glad that you were able to jump on here and spend some time with us as we get into this series that we're doing, an ATV Racing Life. We'll just kick off with it. How did you get started with your company, with creating race fuel?
Well, it's really unique. So when I was in high school, I was supposed to go play college athletics. In high school, I played football, wrestled, and played baseball, and had an opportunity to go play football and baseball. And one reason I got into coaching later in life is I figured out as a young person that when the papers write about you and you think you're good in your small town, you can make some mistakes, and the recruiters have 4 or 5 guys just as good, if not better than you are. And so I got to learn some lessons young by making some mistakes. Had 2 opportunities that I cost myself personally. And so my dad, which I wouldn't be here without him for sure. My father said, hey, let's get into racing. But when you race, you're not just going to show up and drive the car. You're going to be here through the week to get the car ready and put some skin in the game. Also, from a financial perspective, wasn't making a lot of money then, but I still had to contribute something. So he made sure I was there, and racing pulled me out of some challenges that I was in.
Understand.
And I wasn't living life the way I needed to. And so we got a drum of fuel. There's no warranty in racing, right?
That's right.
But it was a bad drum of fuel, and asked the local fuel dealer, hey, it created some issues with our motor combination. Could he help me with the next drum or make that right? The answer was no. And so I said, well, I'm going to see if I can get into being a fuel dealer. And so called around as a 19-year-old starting in college, and I it was kind of it covered some of my eating money in college then, and so that's how we got into the fuel business. And then we became a dealer, worked hard, grew that dealership into a distributorship. And then a few years later, a good mentor by the name of great mentor by the name of Jerry Lindwall from Koch Refinery. I'm sure you guys have heard of the Koch brothers. They had a racing fuel line up made out of Minnesota, and they needed somebody to represent the Southeast for 7 states. And that's when I got to step into the manufacturing side. And then, large refineries, large corporations like that make decisions. We had 2 very fantastic years in the race fuel world within the Coke industry. And they were the first ones, I believe that's correct, to develop the low sulfur diesel fuel, and they needed a tank for it. And they pulled the plug on the race fuel program. Mm-hmm. And so we built this phenomenal distributorship. I got to learn a little bit on the manufacturing side and the production side and the marketing side of it. And I had a partnership that I still have today, but it was the first established with Mr. Gary Emick and his son Josh, and they were one of my first distributors when I was with Coke out of Bowling Green, and it's Valor LLC today, Valor Company, and so they were a distributor of mine. And so when Coke pulled the plug on the race fuel program, it's like, what are we going to do? And so got with Gary, and we're like, hey, you've learned how to do the distributor side. We've gone from a 1-car garage to building the distributor side, and I've got to learn the manufacturing side. Let's put this together and manufacture our own race fuel. So
sweet.
So for the first few years, we actually manufactured race fuel for some other pretty known companies that are out there today, and so we didn't even have the name Renegade tagged along with it. And answer your earlier question, Valor is kind of the infrastructure, right? Just like you'll see companies, they'll have the infrastructure, then they have their brand names, right?
Yes,
Whether,
sir.
Different products they make. So after a couple of years, we started noticing that, and I'll give a very general example to make it easy for the listeners to understand. If our costs went up, say, 25 cents a gallon, right, because of the industry, the people we were making products for, they were like going up 2 or 3 times that.
Okay.
And what our prices were going up to them. So there was a natural heart-led instinct to be like, man, I came from nothing, and we had to really scratch and work hard to get where we're at. Didn't have anything given to me, and to me, this was, in my opinion, taking advantage of the grassroots racing.
Right. So this helped you to empathize for the consumer. You're like,
absolutely.
Listen,
absolutely.
I mean, it's a business. A business has to make money and be profitable, but we don't want to take advantage of people. I want to step back a little bit and kind of what I'm hearing you say here, Toby. So kind of step out as a young man, and it's a dog eat dog world if you want to look at it that way. Sure. To be a business owner, everybody's kind of out for themselves a little bit. But, this thing of racing is a recreation to the vast majority of people, right? There's only a small percentage of people that actually do it for a living, although there are some people who do that. So it's a recreation to us, but it's a big community thing, and it teaches us a lot. It's taught me so much in life, like self-discipline. And you said you had to work and get stuff ready to go racing. It's likewise with me. It started with me and my dad, and he would teach me how to mechanic. We had to get our machines prepped, as you work through the ranks. And eventually, as you become a pro, you could, people will mechanic and help for you. But I mean, you see the pros even still working on their stuff and developing it. But so it teaches so much in life. But to hear you kind of like how your connections, and it sounds like you had the right mindset of, I want to go out there and I want to make this business flourish. But at the same time, I don't want to take advantage of the consumer, because I once was that consumer and didn't really like the experience that I had that led me to getting into this. So it's really a unique story. And I'm glad that you're on here to share it with us, Toby. If you had more to share about your company, you can go ahead, or you can give us just a snapshot of what your week looks like. Like what's a day in and day out for Toby?
Yeah, well, to finish up on that first question, and I'll get into what a week looks like, is I want people to understand, your listeners, that's how Renegade was created. So after we started seeing what we considered non-fair pricing in the market, we said, okay, this next year we're going to sever our ties with the companies that we're making race fuel for, and we're going to put our own brand on it. And that's where Renegade came from. So for anybody that wants to know where Renegade came from, that's how that got established. Because, we work with pro teams now, but pro teams are such a small percentage of the overall racing community. The majority of the racing community is what we call grassroots racing, right? The folks that are working 40 to 50, 60 hours a week and still trying to race. And so those are the folks that we're passionate about. But yeah, to answer your question, what a week looks like. Well, we're often in the grind Monday through Friday. We just built, we got a nice blend facility we built up in Owensboro, Kentucky. We just built an expansion to that. That's going to almost double our capacity for production.
Awesome.
God's been really, really good to us, and I really feel like it's because we're doing the right things. You might not see our name on every billboard, but it's because we want to give the best product and the best fair prices to the consumer. So yeah, right now our weeks are consumed with getting this new expansion up and going. We're supposed to actually flip the switch on it here in a couple of weeks, and we're excited about that.
Awesome. So you mentioned God in there. Toby, here at Remain in the Race, we're all about faith and following Christ. And we just parallel that with the racing community. So a guy who kind of got me in connection with you said that there was a faith journey along with this. You've already kind of mentioned, some things were going on in your life, some trials and tough things there before you were 19, started getting in the business. But there's a faith journey along the way. Would you mind to share that with the listeners? Share that with us?
Sure, absolutely. Yes. So my dad, he's a pastor today. He was, he has a story of his all of his own. He accepted Christ in prison, got out for some self-defense reasons, which was good later on after some truth of some matters came out. But back in the early '70s, and I'm sure it's still this way today, when you have something on your record, it's hard to get a job. So we didn't have a lot growing up, and my dad became a carpet installer, and just really was so he was so up on quality. And a lot of times, how I remember being a kid, he'd take me on the job with him. We got our jobs because we were fixing other people's mediocre work that did not put a stamp of excellence on their labor, and that's how he built his business. But coming from what I would call the rough side of the tracks, not having a lot, and then God coming into our lives, it showed probably the biggest thing I tell folks is the relationship with Christ with us in my life and in my family's life is more about the relationship, not religion. I'm not docking religion or anybody's belief. Okay. But I just believe that God is a nurturing God with arms wide open, not a wall that you got to climb in order to hit certain objectives.
I know where you're going with that. More of that religion or legalistic gospel, if you will, follow these certain steps to obtain a relationship. So it's not like that. That's the same we believe, that God, that it's just a daily abiding in Christ, and that he changes us and remolds us and transforms us, and then puts us in contact with people along the way, that we're all a community. A church is, the way Christ put it. He's building his church. He puts believers like us together to grow his kingdom, essentially. Amen. So I love it. I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit, Toby, before we get too far into it. So drag racing is your roots. Is that what you? Is that what you were telling me? Okay.
Yeah, we kind of like to go straight because the guys. It's something to me, the different racing venues we see, whether it's ATVs, whether it's dirt cars, circle tracks. It's like, man, they get their hot rods looking so good and they go beat them up. And I'm like, that's why I'm in drag racing, because our panels stay nice for a little bit longer than you guys.
You maintain its freshness. So I was out of racing for years and went pro, and then just it's time to move on with life. Okay. But came back to it after 10 years of being retired. And that was funny. You know, we got all of our stuff dressed up and looking good and went out there, and man, we were banging off. And Dad was like, the first race back, he's like, I don't remember this part of it. Like, I thought we could keep our stuff looking good. But anyway, that's pretty funny. But so tell us how you got involved in the ATV racing industry. Like, I was introduced to Renegade through running the Midwest EDT series there, and actually ran your fuel. That's the first time I was introduced to your fuel. So what led you to being part of the ATV racing community?
Well, we have a big following in the power sports community and the motocross community, and so there was a lot of folks that were connections in the motocross community that also knew people in the ATV racing community. So that's how that kind of started. And then, Travis introduced us to some folks he knew too in the ATV community, which is really cool. And so it's just been good to, we love all forms of racing, right? If it goes fast, we want to be a part of it. And man, as fast as some of those guys go, it's just amazing how competitive the ATV racing community is. Whether we have guys that run our fuel that do this. You might have to correct me on this or help me. It's a long distance trail type racing.
Yes. So is that out west, or are you talking like cross country? So cross country is through the woods, maybe like 13-mile course or something like that. And they have a grand national.
So it's out west. Actually, some guys were doing it in our area of the country too, but they chose our fuel because it makes more power, and we've adjusted some of our performance fuels to lower the RVP so it lasts longer. Basically, you get better fuel economy. So it lasted longer during these long what I call endurance races.
Yeah, and that's what they are. The cross country are 2 to 3 hour events, I believe. But then there's other really long distance that I was kind of referring to out west, which is like the work series, or they race again in the desert. So these really, really long events, they actually don't do it as much anymore. But I used to participate in a 12-hour race, where it's a 3-man team, and it involved both kind of field racing, motocross, and woods. So, there were pit stops and things like that aren't typical of the EDT racing or the ATV motocross world that we're involved in. But that is really, really cool.
What amazes me too about that, similar to the ATV and the motocross guys, is, and I did not realize this until I started studying it more, right? Because the training and the folks that's got to be in shape to do that kind of stuff blows my mind. Like, and I wish his name, I cannot think of his last name, but his first name is Rob. And I know he comes and gets fuel, and he sent us some pictures. And after he showed me, the trails they have to go on, he talked to me about it, sent me some pictures and how long it was. I was like, man, you guys got to be in shape to do this. Like, oh yeah, we have to. If you don't train, even though you have the fastest ATV, the rider that's in good shape and knows how to handle his ATV for a long distance of time makes just as much difference as how much power you got in the ATV. And that blew my mind of how good a shape that you guys have to be to ride those things.
I try to quantify it to people as I'm explaining it to it. And I'm like, could you imagine getting on a bull and riding it for 15 or 20 minutes or 2 or 3 hours? That's kind of what this machine does on the rough terrain. So you can be training in the gym, you can be out running and biking and doing all these things, feeling like you're in shape. And then you get on the machine and it just breaks down every muscle in your body. So, I mean, it is a constant training thing. The EDT world is not as physically daunting. I mean, it is still, but as the motocross and the cross country, which are super rough, but it does take an extreme amount of training. And so that's what I tell people early on getting into sport. Like, the first thing you do is train your body, like eat right, train your body to get used to what you're doing, and then start working on your chassis before you necessarily work on the performance of the machine. And by that, I mean, the proper fuel and getting all the power, which is important as you progress through, but it's more important that you learn how to control the machine and that you can hang on to it for that period of time to begin with. So it is cool. But I remember as I got back into it, being off of the machine for 10 years and moving from a 20-year-old to a 30-year-old, I was like, wow, my body's breaking down and I'm feeling this raising 3 kids, but anyway, it was a good time anyway. So, well, Toby, we've been at it for about 20 minutes now or something like that. You have anything else that you would like to share with the ATV racing community?
Yeah, I'd like to let them know too. We have a program called Renegade REACH, and Renegade REACH is where, I just felt the conviction when we started this. I had so many people tell me how we were not going to be successful or that we couldn't make it when we first started because it's a racing. It's a fun industry, but it's a challenging industry because, like you said, it's a recreational sport. So you're dealing
Yeah,
with recreational dollars. So it's a small percentage of the overall country as far as industry goes. Okay,
that's right.
so uh, when we were really close to not knowing if we were going to make it or not, with the expense side and just being able to generate that first dollar of profit, I had a job opportunity come to be an assistant manager at Advanced Auto Parts, and I almost took it because it was the safe thing. And I just
Yeah,
felt the conviction of the Holy Spirit to say, "Hey, you stick this out, you do the right things, you give where I tell you to give, and I'm going to bless this thing." And then there's going to be times and I believe that in the kingdom of God, we're supposed to be a distribution outlet,
yes,
and sowing seed and stuff. And so we have a program called Renegade REACH that we give to. So whenever there's a need in the racing community, we can partner with either another nonprofit, a distributor or a dealer we have, or a racer in the community. Like we got one dealer of ours. He is a dirt late model racer. His house burnt down, unfortunately, and that's just a sad, sad thing. So there's different things like that we do. So whenever somebody buys one of our products, there's a percentage that we give into our Renegade REACH bucket, so to speak, and we use that to help make a positive impact in the communities that we serve.
I love that you're put back into the community. One of our biggest partners here at Remain in the Race is 88 Live to Ride, which is a story of a lady who lost her son racing. He passed away, but instead of just removing herself from the community, she started a nonprofit organization for him, and she pours right back into the sport. It's all about rider safety, and she gives so much to our community. 20 years, it's been 20 years since she established that just this past year. So we'll be celebrating 21 years this year. A lady who's near and dear to me. But, to have that in your heart to say, you know what, God has blessed me and I'm going to bless other people. I'm going to take care of other people. It's not all about us. It's about the community of us, about taking care of each other, being there for each other and meeting whatever need that is. So it's cool that you're able to meet that financial need that people might have when they face trials and tribulations in their life. Man, I'm loving Renegade more and more the more we sit here and visit, Toby. Travis had told me a little bit about your background, and so when this all kind of started in the making, probably close to a year ago, I was really excited to get you on here, and I'm pumped to see how this turns out because this story is great.
Well, thank you so much for having us, and really want to give kudos to Ashley, our team member. Ashley
Yes.
Allen with us too. Thank you for connecting with her, and to all your riders and enthusiasts that listen to your show. We really appreciate them taking a few moments and learning a little bit about Renegade Performance Fuels and Lubricants. So thank you guys for having us on. It's been a blessing. We appreciate it. Okay.
Man, we want to give a big shout out to Toby for coming on with us today, sharing a little bit about his company, number one, that supports so many of the racers and has been a big part of the Midwest Series, but also just kind of his journey and the company. I like Renegade even more now, Mitch.
Absolutely, me too. Just to appreciate like how Renegade began. He was like, I'm not going to be in part of this price gouging, basically.
Yeah.
I'm going to step out here and make something that I can take care of the consumer, because I remember what it's like to be a consumer, because he's a racing enthusiast as well.
Yeah. Right on.
But yeah, it makes me a huge fan of Renegade, and his faith journey along the way. Like, that's real life right there. It's not about religion and following a specific set of rules. It's about realizing our need for Christ and and asking him to forgive us of where we went astray, and just abiding in that relationship with him. I love it. I want to read the quote from their website. It says, Renegade, from humble beginnings in a one-car garage, Renegade Race Fuels has evolved into a dynamic global powerhouse, passionately serving the racing community. What began with humble origins at the beginning now stands as a testament to the unwavering dedication of racers for racers. With a relentless commitment to manufacturing quality and small batch blending, we provide top-notch products at affordable prices, all while keeping grassroots racers at the forefront of our focus. And you mentioned that grassroots racers.
Right.
You know, I refer to them as weekend warriors. That's the blue-collar racers. That defines most all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're guys who work full-time jobs, and on the weekend, we go and do this thing we love, and we pour money into it. And so that's Renegade's real focus. Like, Toby wants to remain at that foundation of, hey, we got started in this, yes, to have a business, but to take care of racers, and we're going to continue to do that. And, you know, the charity that they're involved with, to be able to take care and give back as it's been given to them, you know, that kind of shows the heart of the company, or the heart of the guy, really. You know, I mean, Toby being the founder, and he says, you know, my foundation is built on Christ, and we're just going to build from there.
I love that, man. That's quite a statement, you know. And again, I just keep going back to, I like them even more now.
Absolutely.
Like they make a good fuel. I know some of the top, you know, kind of the four-wheeler power sports, if you will, side of things. Like everything stems, whether you like it or not, through the motorcycle world. Like that's the pinnacle of it. And to see some of those top tier teams that also run Renegade, it's like, okay, this is good stuff.
And that's what he shared too, as the connection into the ATV EDT world was that, you know, being connected with some of those motocross guys and saying, hey, look, here's this other side of the sport. There's ATV EDT racing, which is so much blue collar and grassroots racers, as he defines it.
Yeah, man.
Stuff.
I love it, man. Well, and it's cool to see that they've been a big part of the Midwest series, and I'm, to my understanding, are going to continue that partnership. It'll look a little bit different going into this 24 season, but I think if you show up to a race, you can still get you a pail of some of that 113 goodness that I do like the way it smells. I judge race fuel by smell. And
it smells good.
It's good.
It does.
It's purple color. I'm into it. So
I enjoy it as well. In Kentucky, not too far from us.
Not
good
too far.
Central location.
Yeah.
So as we get ready for Paducah,
I know.
we can just go right down the road there, you know?
Well, that's a good segue there. How about we transition over to just talk about that? Yeah, so the Midwest Series year-end banquet, it's usually always the weekend after New Year's. And so that was held there in Branson, Missouri, good old Branson, Missouri. Got the opportunity to come and to host that event again. And, oh, man, I just love the race community. So the more time I get to spend with them, you know, that's a good day for me, as you well know, Mitchell.
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, how about we just run through a few of these dates, a few new tracks, a few old ones, and so they're going to kick off the season. That's April 13th and 14th.
Okay.
There at PIR, Paducah International Raceway.
Sweet.
Yeah, made it this year. Y'all came up in the motorhome, brought the whole family. It was a little cold, a little rainy, but we got to ride Keister's bike, a new machine, and did a pod on that one as our first Builders Brawl. And
speaking of Builders Brawl too, the 2024 Builders Brawl is starting to align. The stars are aligning. We've got people on board, and looking forward to another season of doing the Builders Brawl.
Yeah, and like, you know, I wish I could go to every race on both series, man. I think we both would love that, but we have families and things and, you know, careers and jobs, and, you know, we're not able to go to all of them.
We commit some time to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, we've got a lot of other things we're committed to.
Yeah,
too,
but the way the Builders Brawl has kind of shaped up, it looks like, you know, at one event, we may be able to ride two different machines.
Oh,
you know,
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of a neat opportunity there that we didn't really know what it was going to look like last year, and now we have a good feel for it to kind of move forward. So we've got to, I'll tease one little carrot, but we will be bringing back the bullet machine that is our background.
Yeah, so the reigning
reigning champ always gets an invite back, and then we should have 4 others that we're going to mix into that. So we'll kind of release that as it gets closer. But yeah, Builders Brawl 24 is taking shape, man. It's gonna be good.
Sweet.
Yeah. So after PIR, they're gonna move down into Tennessee, Sparta, just passing through Raceway. That's going to be rounds 3 and 4, May 11th and 12th. So this is a new track. I haven't been there. Did you ever get to spin some laps around this back a few years ago?
No, never actually went there, but I've heard of it.
Yep. So that's going to be exciting. I think the East Coast kind of dips over there a little bit in some of their different series. So that'll be
Yeah. So I know the East Coast EDT has had rounds there, and the NEDT is actually going to have a round there in June. So just a couple weeks later after the Midwest. Yeah.
So they're going to have I guess that'd be a 4 or 5 week run there. Just passing through is going to be quite busy, hosting two big events. But that may be how they want it. So that'll be exciting. Going back to Iowa. So we missed out on Iowa this in 23. No, I think they ran Saturday. Anyways, going back to Iowa, Jefferson County Fairgrounds. That's always a fun one. June 15th and 16th. Then of course the big 4th of July extravaganza, the weekend of July 4th. That'll be July 5th and 6th there at Saxton Race Park. To my understanding, the Triple Crown will be coming back for that event, and there's always a lot of pros that turn out for that one there at the Sandbox. So
Triple Crown. Oh, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So we're getting one a month. I like it.
Yeah.
This is good and spaced out.
It really is a good balanced schedule. I like it as well, Mitch. Then in August, going over to Benton Speedway. That'll be a nice, steamy Missouri during the day race, just sweating to death. So make sure you got that vented gear for that one for sure. And then they're going to finish up at Ripley County Fairgrounds, which won the track of the year this year for the Midwest Series.
Okay, cool.
So what's cool is you look at all of these, we're kind of, here, I guess, more in the South than, Midwest, but more in the South. All of these tracks, Mitch, are like, let's just go through it. Paducah, 6 hours. Tennessee is about 6.5, 7-ish, give or take.
From us.
Yeah.
Reference,
Yeah. Iowa is about 6, 7.
9, maybe.
9-ish, sure. I know Osgood, Tennessee is about 9.
Wait. I think you just mixed two. Osgood, Indiana.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what you meant. I know what you meant. But yes, Osgood, Indiana is about 9 hours.
About 9 hours. Benton is 4. Saxton's 4. 4.5, 4, somewhere in there. So what's cool about this schedule is some really good tracks. Paducah, a lot of people really, really liked Paducah, and it'll be fun to go back there. Hopefully not have to battle the rain. Hopefully our table's made out of wood here, so I'm knocking on wood. That Tennessee track's going to be a great time. So I really like the schedule, man. It's not, for the Midwest racers, it's not too far of a haul. I know like Jace White, like coming down to the banquet, him and Alec Fuller, their crews, it was about 11-hour drive, which, that's a long ways, but it's not like 18, 19. When you start getting up in there, man, it's just like, you basically like an entire day is spent in a train.
That's right. You can keep it to single digits, that 9 hour mark. Like it seems it's doable.
Yeah. And coming down, they were like, 11's not bad. It's a full day, but you can do it. It's not bad. So that's exciting. So I really do like that schedule. But while we're on it, how about that NE series? Let me jump over here real quick.
I've got it right here, baby.
Hit me with it.
May the 4th. NEDT round 1 at Black Ankle, North Carolina. We know that track. We love that track.
Yep.
It's a great way to kick off their season, right?
Oh, yeah.
Then on June 8th, round 2 will be at Just Passing Through in Tennessee. So it'll be just a couple weeks before. They'll have the Midwest. Then they'll have the NEDT there in June.
Right.
June 22nd, so 2 weeks later, Muskingum County Speedway up in Ohio will be round 3. They're actually going to get 2 rounds this year, but just one round per weekend. Mm-hmm. This is the way the NEDT does it. Then July 20th and 21st will be Pine Lake number 1.
Yeah, and that's 2 dates, but they don't have lights. So it's a Saturday, Sunday event.
That's right. Pine Lake, they race Saturday, Sunday. All other events, they race Saturday unless rain out, and they need to use Sunday.
Right.
And August 17th, there will be Muskingum County Speedway again. This will be the number 2 race that they will have there. And then they will round it back out at Pine Lake again at the end of September 28th and 29th. So,
well, don't forget about Owasso in there, round 6 and 7.
Well, I just skipped right on down there, didn't I? August 31st and September 1st, that will actually be a double header. Rounds 6 and 7 at Owasso up at Owasso Motorsports Park in Michigan.
Yeah, I'm looking on my calendar here.
Thank you for the correction, Super D.
Hey, that's why everyone needs a backup.
That's right. That's why we co-host, right? We got each other's back on.
Yeah, so that round is always over Labor Day. So that's why they double dip on that one, gives people Monday to travel back home if they need to.
So that'll be a total of 8 rounds for the NEDT. Then those double headers at the Midwest for a total of 12 rounds, weather permitting, as we saw last year. Hopefully the weather will be friendly to us this year. And looking forward for our plans to release where we will be going.
Yeah. So we've got some East Coast guys that are interested in jumping in on the Builders Brawl, as well as some Midwest guys. So we will definitely make some appearances at both series.
Yep.
And kind of try to even it up. And obviously, again, we want to go to as many as we can, but we're just not able to hit every single one of them. We're going to do our best. So
that's right. Hey, before we leave here,
let's hit it.
One other thing we kind of highlighted last year as well. At Midwest, they've established a time of meeting. They'll have Moto Church, time of devotional and prayer. We want to encourage the NEDT riders to do the same. If someone feels led or feels like they can step up and just lead a time of prayer, join together, get the racers together and pray, spend a little time in the Word. We would be all about that. We'll help in any way that we can. The races we go to, we will definitely participate in that, but want that to definitely be part of the racing community. Christ is everywhere. He's not just at the church, and so we want to bring him to the racetrack.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree, man. And that's going to be a good time. Anytime, we love going to the races, but specifically love that time of Moto Church at the tracks too. That's always a special time for me. Kind of some would say it is my favorite part.
I love it.
I love it. Well, again, Midwest Banquet was this last weekend, and it was a great time. Got to catch up with a lot of old friends and new friends, and see all the machines. I love how they bring in all the different winners of different classes and stuff. Have them all lined up there, and man, it was so cool just to catch up with folks and everybody having a good time, and I love it. So thank you to the Midwest crew for allowing me to come back and do that. I always enjoy it, and that's what some people are like, man, I don't know how you do that. I'm like, you all are my friends. Like, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
Could offer you some relief, If I ever got an invite, I could be there to relieve you occasionally. But,
I learned this a little too late in life, but it's not what you know, it's who you know.
That's right. I got to get to know the right people, right?
Yeah. So that was a good time. So yeah, we've got some new sponsors that are going to be jumping on board with us, and so next podcast we'll be able to reveal a little bit of those. But man, it's just exciting to see where we came from, literally in the frog above Ryan's garage, and now we've got kind of a mobile setup here where we can do some stuff at the track if need be.
That'd be super cool. Yeah,
we've got Toby from Renegade that reaches out like, hey man, like let's do something. And it's like, yeah, let's do it. So a couple of our partners jumping on for this 24 season. I think specifically a lot of the flat track, the EDT crew are really going to be, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think they'll be impressed. Maybe not. I don't know. I hope so. And I hope it can grow.
I'm impressed. I mean, I love this thing. So.
And I hope that, I always say, work with the people that support the sport that we all love. It's kind of, what we're doing here. And so just encourage you to do that if you're looking for different parts. Like I said, next podcast we'll be able to share a little behind the curtain.
I'm not going to go off on too big of a tangent on this.
Sure. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's a tangent or not, but anyway, many of the racers they're business owners themselves,
Yeah.
So they appreciate using small business, using local business. They support their communities. They work in their communities. So even though we're not located in one central little town, we're a racing community. So we need to be supporting those businesses, small or big, that really pour into our sport, because then it just comes, full circle.
Absolutely.
That's the way it works.
Yep, that's the way it works, man. So, well, what else you got there, Mitchell?
Man, I think episode 40, we can put a ribbon on her, baby.
I like it. Well, thank you again to all you loyal listeners. And it was cool at the banquet. Had a few people come up and say, "Hey, man, do you do the podcast?" I said, "Yeah." And they were like, "Oh, it's so good to put a face with the name." And so I always love having those interactions, getting to catch up with people. But hey, one other thing real quick. The World Championship Ice Racing Series kicked off this weekend.
The World Ice Racing Championship.
Yeah.
And we know kind of that repeat world champion.
Yeah, that's old Blaine grabbing the win there. And I believe that was Tyler Allen.
Tyler Allen is who I refer to as the king of ice. Because that dude, I mean, yes, Blaine has challenged him, and Blaine has done well, who rides really good. But I always will consider Tyler the king of ice. The
king of ice. All right. Well, Blaine grabbed the win this weekend. Tyler there in second. And then Dylan Meyer finished out the podium in third spot. So congratulations to those guys at the banquet. We were all trying to kind of keep up with it. Also, another little carrot here to tease.
What if people don't like carrots? I mean, I'm a fan of carrot, but you like dangling the carrot.
I like dangling.
What if somebody wants like a donut or a cheeseburger?
That's fine.
It's going to donut.
Jets and donuts, that's fine. Whatever you want. We potentially may get an invite to go do some ice racing. Huh?
Oh,
I got a little shoulder tap this weekend and said, "Hey, what do you have going on here in a few weeks?" I said, "What do I need to have going on here in a few weeks?" So, hey, man.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, we're up for whatever.
We're up for whatever. So, hey, that's a nice way to end out episode 40, beginning of season 3. So, again, final thoughts, Mitch?
That's it, baby.
I like it. All right. Well, hey, that's end episode 40. Thanks for listening, and make sure to catch us in the next one.